Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Beth. I am a mum of 3 in Suffolk in the UK and I home educate my 3 children. If you are returning, thank you, hello, and if it is your first time, then hello, nice to meet you. Thanks for watching my videos. I really love making YouTube videos. I just find it really fun and I really enjoy it, so I'm glad that you are here and I hope you enjoyed this video. And check out some of my others. I do grocery hauls, shopping hauls, what else do I do? Home ed stuff, things about adoption, things about childminding, things about church and things like that. So today I'm going to do a little chatty one about socialisation, because on one of my videos last week there was some stuff in the comments about socialisation, and I thought it's a really do you know what, as soon as you mention home education to someone who doesn't home educate, they're like, what about the socialisation? How are you going to socialise your kids? Like they think we just keep them in the 4 walls of our house all day and throw workbooks at them. That is obviously not what we do. So every home ed parent will get asked that question, I am sure, and everyone rolls their eyes and is like, oh my goodness, there is so much out there. Now, I didn't even realise till I started home educating how much like community and things that are going on for home education. Like, it's actually insane. It's like a whole other world that was happening in my town that I had no idea about. So let me just start talking about school socialisation. So obviously everyone knows that at school you socialise. You're with children the same age of you for like 6 hours a day and you are socialising, right? Doing the same thing. Now, for some, that's a really positive experience. For me, that was a greatly positive experience. I loved school. I felt like I just got to hang out with my friends all day, every day. I went to the most lovely, tiny private school in North Norfolk, and the 3 friends that I made there, there's like a group of 6 of us, but 3 of us are still friends now and we still meet up regularly. Like, I saw one of them on Saturday. We're really close and I absolutely loved going to school every day. My school was like, because it was private, it didn't have to like adhere to all of the kind of rules, and it was really relaxed. Some might say too relaxed, but as a child it was really fun and I absolutely thrived and loved it. There were 16 kids in my year, and I just had like literally the best time. Now, my husband was at a big like state school and he had a massive friendship group. He did have some negative kind of socializing as well, but he had also like this massive friendship group that he loved. He found primary school harder. He was homeschooled for I think about 6 months or something, because he was bullied when he was little. But at high school, like, he did have a pretty good time. Now, there's things that school teaches you, and I think it teaches you to be a little bit harder. For example, someone might say, I'll wait for you, or you might be going somewhere and someone might say, oh, I need the toilet, can you wait for me? And they say, yeah, I'll wait for you. And then another friend comes along and they don't wait for you anymore, they just go. And they're like, that's quite upsetting to a child, but you kind of tough it up and then might do that to someone else. I don't know, someone might say, yes, I'll sit with you at lunch, and then they don't. Like, they're not where they said they were going to be, and so that kind of, it's upsetting to you and then it toughens you up, so you might be at someone else. It's like a dog-eat-dog world somehow, and it toughens you. And I see this happening to children. Some children that I know are just so lovely and sweet and innocent, and then you just see them kind of toughen up a little bit like that. Now, some people would say that's really good. I would say, like, that's not really how you should treat people, but I understand why they do. Like, I don't think that's an awful thing, but I'm not saying I'm going to send my children to school so that they can learn those kind of things. There's obviously really good socialisation that goes on at school and really negative socialisation that goes on at school, and everything in between, right? And it's the same in home ed. There's be some really good socialisation, some really bad socialisation, and everything in between. And we have actually experienced a lot of the range. So we go to loads of groups, first of all, right? There are loads. Like, even in my small town in Suffolk, like, you know, rural, there is a lot going on. And particularly if you can drive, you could go to like at least 2 activities every day if you wanted to. I mean, probably more, within kind of a half-hour radius, right? There was so much going on and so many opportunities to meet with other children. Now, my children meet with other children at least once a day, every single day, often more than that. Now, obviously, I do the childminding, which helps as well. They're basically 5 of their friends come over after school every day, or 3 days a week. And in the holidays, they spend hours and hours with like 9 other children. They have an absolutely brilliant time. But there are obviously things that they also miss out on from not going to school. So I guess when you send them to school, it's kind of easy. You don't have to think about the socialisation because it's there. You don't have to arrange times for them to socialise. You don't have to take them to groups. It's just there. You know, they're there at school with other kids. And I guess the thing about being at school also is it's easier to like go out after school. So you might get to school and then they say, oh, do you want to come round to mine for dinner? Or can I come round to yours for dinner? And say, oh yeah, come on, hop in the car, let's go. It's easy, right? I haven't like arranged that formally with the parent beforehand. We're just like, oh, is that all right? Yeah, brilliant. Or there might be things like if you're walking home from school, say you're at high school, you're allowed to walk home. You might walk home with a group of friends who all live in the same direction as you, walk through the town, say, let's stop off at Greg's after school. Or even that walking home is like socialisation itself, right? So I feel like there are things that they potentially miss out on. Now, those things might have never happened at school. My eldest, she would be in year 8 now, and she was desperate. Like, the thing she was worried about missing out on was the kind of ad hoc socialisation, like the walking home from school. So what she's done a couple of times is arranged with friends and said, I'll meet you outside the high school at the end of the day and we'll walk like home together, or you can come to my house, or we'll go into town, or we'll go to a park. Now, that is what she wants to do, and that's what she feels like she's potentially missing out on. Not that she wants to go to school, because she thinks it'd be more negative than positive for her, but that's what, you know, she's very aware that she's potentially missing out on that kind of ad hoc socialisation, even if it's just 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and she would love that. I mean, ideally, what she would have is a group of home-ed friends that live in our town, near us, and she, you know, they were all happy to kind of just meet at Costa or meet at Greg's, or, you know, whatever. Like, she would absolutely love that, or just go, let's go down to the park. Yeah. Now, I had not that I was home educated, but I had a group of friends who, because my school we had to drive to, it wasn't like the local high school. And so, but I had a group of friends who are actually from my church, and they would come and go from about age 12. They came and called for, like, we all like lived fairly near. They called for each other after school and we'd all go down the park, and we did that, as I say, from age 12, and I actually had like the best like teenage years ever, because we just hang out all the time. Little did I know, obviously, at the time, that that's actually quite rare. So I was kind of expecting that for her, and I was expecting like kids would just call for each other, but actually I don't really think kids do that. As I say, she's arranged this a couple times with other friends, but she's really had to push it, and in the last kind of year and a bit, she's only done it like twice or 3 times, because kids just want to go home. Like, they're like, no, I walk home on my own, and I just walk home. Like, they don't want to meet up. They don't want to go after school. And maybe that's just the friend she's got, but currently that is what she'd love to do and isn't really happening. So she does have certain friends that she goes into town with. Her and Sam occasionally go into town together, although Sam's a home bird, so he'd rather stay at home all day. But I feel like that's where she feels like she's missing out. But I think it's probably not, like, doesn't happen as much as she thinks it does. And actually, I was talking to people who, like, adults, and they were like, well, I lived in a village, so I went from the normal, like, town school, and I just got picked up by my parents and went home, and no other kids lived in the village, like, you know, like, so they didn't do that. Whereas my view is like every child did the same that I did, but obviously, actually, that isn't the case. And so I think she thinks that that's going to happen, and it isn't. However, there are so many groups that we go to. They get to mix with a massive breadth. Sorry, there was something at the window, but I think it's just a leaf. The massive breadth and range of different ages, different interests. And I think actually it'd probably be easier to make like your own, you know, like when you go to like high school or uni or whatever it is, wherever stage you're at, you make like your group of friends. And I feel like with home ed, it's almost easier to do that. Now, two things that slightly frustrate me, and this is where I'm going to get a little bit real. This is the third time I've tried to make this video because I don't want to be like a moaner, right? But I want to be honest. So firstly, the commitment from home ed educating parents or children often is a little bit lacking. And I find this really frustrating. So, for example, we'll be going to a group. We've got to a group. The kids have made friends. It's lovely. They're having a brilliant time. They love it. And then suddenly, one of their friends just stops going. And you basically never hear from them again. And you can't guarantee, like at school, everyone goes to school all the time, right? Unless you're ill or you move. But you can't guarantee with home ed that they're always going to be there. Someone might be at a group in September and not be there in October. They might, like, you know, you just don't know. Now, what frustrates me is that I'm like, the only way that these things properly run is by people continually going there. And like, don't you want your children to make like a nice friendship group? You know, we've had a couple of situations now where that the kids have made lovely, lovely friendship groups, been really good together. And then like one person just won't ever turn up again. Like no word of like, oh, we're sick this week, or they're just like, no, we don't want to come. Or, oh, no, we're just not going to fit that in anymore. And that seems to happen a lot. And I find that really frustrating because I feel like we're quite committed to things, and a massive part, like the reason I go to groups is because I want them to make a group of friends. And so then when they do and then it doesn't happen, that frustrates me. The second thing which, sorry, my nose is really itchy. The second thing which I find frustrating is so when we go to groups, right, or anywhere really, yeah, I will be very aware of what's going on around me, and I will look for people. And if I see someone on their own, I'll go and sit with them or kind of invite them into our conversation or try and kind of help them to join in, because I know what it's like going to a group and no one talks to you, and it's horrible, right? No one wants to do that. So I always try and be really friendly and welcoming to people. And the same with my children. If there are new children that come in and I see that they're on their own or whatever, or they're, you know, looking to make friends, I'll always call my children over and say, oh, this is a new person. I'll introduce them and say, why don't you go and play together? And they always do. Now, what I don't understand is when other parents don't do that. We have gone to groups before for weeks and weeks on end. And my children have been there like and no one has spoken to them, like, and not one parent has said to their child, why don't you go and talk to them, or has said to me, or do you think they'd like to play with my child, why don't we introduce them? Never. And I hate that because I do that all the time. Now I am potentially more aware of what's going on than others. I don't think people are mean. I think they're just probably not really looking around, right? They're probably just there thinking, great, drop the kids off, my kids have got their friends, I'll sit here and have a cup of tea. And they're not really looking around. And maybe I'm a little bit more aware than others. I'm also a massive extrovert. I love being with other people. I love talking to, I love making conversation with new people, and I realise that for lots of people actually just coming to the group is like draining, and they will have to go home and recover from that session for like hours if not days. Yeah, then because people have said that, and I totally get it, so I don't think they're being purposely harsh. I just don't get how you can see these children that are new, that you know are new, who you know don't know anyone else, and you like, then there's your children playing in a big group and you don't try and get your children to interact. And often you get children in groups, and this happens everywhere because equally children aren't very aware, and the children don't automatically include them, right? So, and again, that's not because children are horrible. Sometimes they need a little bit of assistance to, you know, go, oh look, can you see there's someone on their own, shall we go and invite them to play? And absolutely frustrates me that people don't do that. You know, and eventually, after a long time, we have been able to kind of work our way in. But what I don't get, like, is why they just haven't done it straight away. And I know it's not mean, but it feels really mean when you're in that situation. Like, I'm like, please, can you just help me out here? So there are definitely some negatives to homeschooling. The real positive for me is that they don't have homework after school because we do it all in the day, and we can be really flexible, right? So if there's a group on that they want to go to because they've got, like, their friends are going there, or if their friends are going out somewhere and they want to go, like home-ed friends, and it's in the middle of the day when we'd normally be doing work, I'm like, that's fine, you can go, just do work when you get home. Or, you know, if they want to do after school clubs, I'm like, yeah, you can do whatever, you can go to youth club tonight because you haven't got any homework to do, because we don't do homework. So there are real pros and cons. All three of my children have some of the most lovely friends, and they have all, I mean, the youngest is only just recently started, but the older two have both equally been through some really frustrating things. But, like, I actually think in terms of seeing other children, having opportunities to play with other children, like, that is not a thing to worry about in home education, because there are so many opportunities out there. And you know, as with anything, there's good things and bad things. What I prefer about home education rather than school is, like, if something isn't working out friendship wise, we can just either stop going or not hang out with that one person, or you know, like, just try and make new friends. Like, there's a little bit more ease, and I feel like that's what you have as an adult. You know, like, if there's someone that I meet and I don't really get on with them, I just don't really meet with them again. You know, like, some people you click with and some people you don't, but you're not then forced to spend time with them. And I know there's so many things about that, about the adult life and the adult world, but I do feel like children don't have a lot of control over their environment and their friends in school, and in home education they do, and I think that that's, like, a massive part of it. So yes, I hope if you stayed this long, you've done really well. I hope that's interesting for some of you, and I'd love to know how you find socialisation if you're a home educator too. Thanks for watching, guys. See you again soon. Bye.